Lumpini Stadium, Bangkok, Thailand, February 1971. The air inside is something close to unbreathable, humidity bearing down on everything like wet concrete pressing from above. Cigarette smoke and the sharp medicinal bite of liniment and tiger balm rise together in layered clouds above 3,000 people packed shoulder to shoulder into wooden bleachers that groan steadily under the collective weight of the crowd. The overhead lights pour down onto the ring with the complete indifference of something that has no stake in the outcome. This is not simply a stadium. This is a temple, the most sacred arena Muay Thai has ever known. And tonight, something is about to take place that not a single person inside this building is ready for. In the VIP section, Thai royalty occupies red silk cushions trimmed in gold, separated from the general seating by a respectful distance and the quiet authority of centuries of tradition. Below them, gamblers communicate bets through a private language of hand signals that money has always understood perfectly. Tourists hold cameras they are not yet sure when to raise. Journalists from Western publications sit in the front rows with notepads already open, composing stories in their heads before anything has happened. And in the ring, under those merciless lights, stands Nong Mai. They call her the Iron Rose. 70 professional fights, 70 victories, not one draw, not one night that ended close enough for anyone in the crowd to hold their breath and wonder. Not a single moment across 8 years of professional competition where the outcome fell genuinely in question. She began fighting at 17, a girl from a poor village outside Chiang Mai who had understood from an early age that the world was not going to make space for her on its own. 8 years later, she is 25 years old, and the space she has carved for herself is this ring, this stadium, this country's collective awareness of what a fighter can be. Her record is not simply a number. It is a reputation so thoroughly established that most fighters in Thailand stopped agreeing to face her years ago. Her arms have been conditioned into something closer to iron than flesh. Her shins, developed across years of driving kicks into banana trees until the bark split and the wood gave way beneath the repeated impact, have crossed the threshold from ordinary bone into something that functions more accurately as a weapon. The scars her body carries mark her the way rings mark the inside of a tree, quietly, without drama, as honest evidence of time spent inside a specific and demanding kind of discipline. When she performs the Y Crew before the bout, that sacred pre-fight ritual offered in respect to her teachers and to the spirit of the art itself, 3,000 people go silent, not because occasion demands it, because instinct takes over, because what they are watching carries a quality of genuine reverence that the body responds to before the mind has caught up. Tonight is different from her usual championship appearances. The promoters have arranged what they are describing publicly as a demonstration, an exhibition staged for Western audiences. Nong Mai will walk through the crowd, select a volunteer at random, and show them what Muay Thai looks like when it meets whatever else the world has to offer. The promoter, a heavy-suit man in an expensive suit that is soaked completely through with sweat, delivers the announcement over the microphone in a voice that is formal on the surface and quietly desperate underneath it. The crowd responds with a low murmur of unease. Champions do not fight random people pulled from the audience. The risk is strange and difficult to define. What happens if something goes wrong in a way nobody anticipated? But Nong Mai requested this herself. She is tired of people attaching conditions to her victories because her opponents have been women. Tired of the soft, persistent implication that her record would not hold up against a different kind of challenge. Tonight, she puts that question away permanently. She climbs out of the ring, drops to the arena floor, and begins moving through the bleachers. People lean back instinctively as she passes. Eyes find the ceiling, the floor, any direction that is not hers. Nobody in that building wants to be the one she chooses. She moves through the sections with deliberate patience. Too many drunk locals, too many tourists with cameras already raised, women and children throughout. She keeps moving until she reaches a section closer to the center of the arena, where the people sitting carry a noticeably different quality of stillness. Martial artists, students, people who came to this stadium tonight not to be entertained, but to understand something that cannot be explained any other way. Her eyes move across the faces in that section and stop. Row 12, a small man, Asian, Chinese perhaps, wearing dark slacks and a dark button-up shirt, not drinking, not talking, not performing the careful, studied casualness of someone doing their best not to be noticed, simply watching, completely and utterly present in the way that almost nobody in a crowd of 3,000 people actually manages to be. There is something in the quality of his attention that sets him apart from everyone around him in a way that logic cannot fully account for. She raises her hand and points directly at him. "You, come down." He does not move immediately, does not stand or nod or give any acknowledgement. The people seated around him begin nudging his arm, pointing, leaning in with whispered urgency. The man directly beside him brings his face close and says quietly in English, "You do not have to do this." The chosen man gives a small, slow shake of his head. "It is fine," he says. He stands and the crowd gets its first clear look at him. 5'7", perhaps 140 pounds, no visible muscle beneath the dark shirt, no gym clothing, no hand wraps, no fighting stance of any recognizable kind. He looks like a man who took a wrong turn somewhere between a business meeting and the exit and ended up standing in a Muay Thai ring under stadium lights. The laughter begins slowly and builds with momentum. Jokes pass through the Thai sections of the crowd in a language the tourists cannot follow, but whose meaning translates perfectly regardless. The Western journalists in the front row write faster. This is exactly the kind of detail that makes a story. Undefeated champion selects the single least threatening person in a building of 3,000 people. He makes his way down the bleacher steps without rushing, moving easily and fluidly, reaches the ring, climbs through the ropes, and stands under the lights. The promoter approaches with the microphone extended. "Sir, what is your name?" The man takes the microphone. His voice is quiet, accented, completely unhurried. "Bruce Lee." Nothing. That name produces absolutely nothing in that room. No recognition from the Thai crowd, none from the tourists, none from the journalists sitting ringside with their pens moving. Just another Chinese name, just another man about to become victory number 71. "Do you have any fighting experience, Mr. Lee?" "Some." "What style?" "Wing Chun and my own system." "Your own system?" "Yes. Jeet Kune Do." The promoter has never heard of it. Nobody else in the building has either. It sounds like something invented on the spot. It sounds like the kind of thing a tourist might say to seem more interesting than he is. The laughter continues without interruption. The referee, an older Thai man whose face carries the particular weathered quality of someone who has personally witnessed every variety of human competition, calls both fighters to the center of the ring. He explains the rules in Thai and then in fragmented English. Light contact, demonstration only. Both fighters nod. They return to their corners. The bell rings. Nong Mai moves first, weight settled on the back leg, hands positioned high, the classic Muay Thai stance of a fighter who has stood in this exact position 70 times before and has never once left the ring on the wrong side of the result. She throws a testing jab. Bruce moves his head by the smallest necessary margin. The punch passes within inches of where his face just was. She follows immediately with a real combination, jab, cross, low kick, the precise sequence that has finished careers at this level. Bruce is simply not occupying the same space when the techniques arrive at their intended destination. He has not leapt backward. He has not absorbed anything through force. He has moved with an economy so complete and so quiet that the crowd does not yet have the vocabulary to describe what they are watching. Nong Mai resets. Something about this man is fundamentally different from anything she has encountered across 70 fights. Not Muay Thai footwork, not boxing movement. Something fluid and continuously adaptive, entirely free of wasted motion, as though his body makes only the decisions that are strictly necessary and nothing beyond that. She drives a knee hard into her midsection. His hand comes down, meets it, and redirects it by the smallest possible degree, just enough to strip the power out of the technique completely. She feels it through her own body before her mind has processed what happened. That was not a block, that was something closer to control, a form of it she has never encountered before. She attacks again, an elbow strike this time, one of Muay Thai's most genuinely dangerous weapons, the technique that has put grown and experienced men into hospital beds.
At 90 seconds in, Bruce decides it is time to bring it to a close. Nung Mai launches a jumping knee, fully committed, everything she has driving behind it. This time, Bruce does not evade. He steps directly into the technique instead. His left hand takes control of the knee. His right hand rises and stops exactly 1 inch from her throat, extended, perfectly placed, perfectly controlled. The referee blows the whistle and steps between them. The demonstration is finished. Bruce releases, steps back, and bows. Nung Mai stands in the center of the ring, breathing hard, sweating, looking at the man in front of her with an expression that has nothing to do with anger or embarrassment and everything to do with genuine confusion. She did not lose tonight, but she did not win either, and she understands the difference between those two things too well to pretend otherwise. She approaches him and bows, deeply and formally. He returns it without hesitation. She speaks in Thai, and the promoter translates her words. She wants to know who he is, what style was that, where did he learn it? Bruce answers without any elaboration. I practice martial arts. I study many styles. I try to understand what actually works. She looks at him for a moment. You could have beaten me. Why didn't you? Because this is a demonstration, not a fight. I have no desire to harm her or damage what she has built. She is clearly a great champion. Nung Mai's expression shifts into something quieter and more open. She extends her hand toward him in a Western handshake. He takes it. The crowd applauds, and what they are applauding is not victory and not defeat, but something more difficult to put a name to and considerably more lasting than either one. The man who had been sitting beside Bruce in row 12, the one who had leaned close before it all began and whispered that he did not have to do this, follows him out of the arena and into the thick, humid air of Bangkok's night. His name is Dan Inosanto, Bruce's closest student and one of his most trusted friends, who had traveled with him to Thailand for a series of film meetings and had spent the entire evening watching everything unfold with a feeling that moved back and forth between pride and the specific private concern of someone who understands exactly what they are witnessing. They move through the Bangkok streets and Dan finally speaks. You know they are going to talk about this forever. Bruce shrugs. Let them. Dan keeps going. You could have just said no, stayed in your seat. She chose me at random. I honored that choice. You made a 70-fight champion look like a beginner. Bruce shakes his head. I showed her a different approach. Those are not the same thing. Dan smiles and understands well enough not to push it further. They walk in silence for a moment before Dan asks the question that has been sitting with him. What if she had been better? What if she had actually hit you? Bruce stops walking and looks at his friend. Then I would have learned something. That is the reason you accept a challenge, not to prove you are better than someone, to find out what you do not yet know. Dan considers that. And what did you learn tonight? Bruce answers without hesitation, that Muay Thai is beautiful and powerful and completely real, that she is a true champion, that respect matters more than dominance. The following day, Bruce spent 4 hours with 20 Thai fighters at a gym outside the city, students from various schools who had approached him after the demonstration, wanting to understand what they had seen with their own eyes. He showed them Wing Chun principles and Jeet Kune Do philosophy, not as rival systems competing for superiority, but as a set of open questions. Why does this work? Where does it fail? What does efficiency actually mean when someone is genuinely trying to hurt you? Among those 20 fighters was a young man who would go on to become one of Thailand's most respected trainers and who carried this story forward for the next 40 decades. Nung Mai fought 15 more times after that night and won every one of them. She retired with 85 consecutive victories, still undefeated, still champion. But the fight she spoke about most in the years that followed was the one that was never a fight at all. He was smaller than me, lighter than me, less experienced in Muay Thai, but he understood fighting at a level I had not reached. He showed me that technique without philosophy behind it is empty, that strength without wisdom to guide it is useless. The Western journalists who were present that evening mostly got the story wrong. They wrote about cultural contrast, East meeting West, a curious exhibition staged for an international audience in Bangkok. They missed entirely what had actually taken place. But the 20 fighters who trained with Bruce the following morning understood it, and they passed it forward the way genuine knowledge travels, not through headlines, but through the hands of people who practice. That was February 1971. 2 years later, the other story begins. San Francisco, California, Civic Auditorium Arena, March 18, 1973, Friday evening, 9 o'clock. 250 people filled the space around a boxing ring. No tickets were sold for this evening, no official event, no promoted card, no scheduled bouts, only whispers that had been moving through martial arts schools and boxing gyms across the city for 4 weeks, gathering weight and credibility as they traveled, until enough of the right people had received enough of the right information that they are now standing pressed together in this arena, waiting for something none of them can fully describe. Standing in the center of the ring, wearing black boxing shorts and gold gloves, is Muhammad Ali. There are men who appear to have been assembled by a different set of physical laws than the rest of humanity, men whose presence in a room changes something about the room before a word is spoken. Ali is one of them. 6 feet 3 inches, 210 pounds, a body that seems to be constructed specifically to answer the question of what a human being looks like when everything about it has been optimized entirely for the purpose of fighting. He had defeated every serious challenger the sport had produced. He floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee, as the phrase goes, but what that phrase fails to capture is the quality of his defensive instincts, which are so deeply refined that he is known to slip punches he never actually saw coming, his body responding to incoming threats before his conscious mind had finished processing that they existed. That was the quality that separated Ali from every other boxer of his era, and it was the quality that had brought 250 people to this building on a Friday night in March. The challenge that put everyone in this room together had begun 4 weeks ago in a private gathering in Malibu. Ali was doing what Ali always did at social events, filling every room he entered, moving naturally toward spectacle the way a flame leans into available air. Someone in the conversation mentioned Bruce Lee. Someone else added that Bruce claimed martial arts could overcome boxing. Ali laughed, not with any particular hostility behind it, just with the deep, untroubled confidence of a man who had stood across from every serious competitor the planet had been able to produce and found himself still standing each time. "Bring him to me," Ali said. "Let him strike me. I will stand completely still, hands at my sides, no defense at all. Just let him hit me with everything he has. Then we will find out whether this kung fu is real or whether it is performance art." The words moved quickly. Within days, they had traveled from Malibu to Los Angeles, and from there into the martial arts schools where Bruce's students trained, and eventually to Bruce himself, who was at his Oakland school running a private session when one of his senior students placed a newspaper article in his hands. Bruce read it without any expression, folded the paper carefully, and set it aside. "Fascinating" was the only word he offered. 3 weeks of negotiation followed. Ali's team wanted something public, something that could be packaged and promoted and turned into a spectacle with a wide audience. Bruce's team recognized the trap built into every possible outcome before the first meeting was over. If he declined, people would spend years saying he was afraid. If he accepted and failed, everything he had spent his life constructing would be reframed overnight into something it never been. and if he accepted and succeeded, he would need to accomplish something that existed at the outer boundary of what seemed physically possible, landing a clean strike on a man whose reflexes occupied a category that no other boxer alive had access to. Bruce made his decision anyway. He contacted Ali's manager directly and personally. "I accept. 1 strike. He stands still. I strike once. That is the entirety of it. No second attempts. 1 moment. That is all history ever requires." 250 people fill the arena now. Boxing trainers who have built champions from raw material. Martial arts grandmasters who have given entire lifetimes to their disciplines. Sports journalists who have documented every fight that mattered during this era. Hollywood directors and actors, and scattered throughout, ordinary people who had heard enough of the right rumors to find themselves holding an invitation to something that everyone present already suspects they will spend the rest of their lives trying to describe accurately to people who were not there. The atmosphere inside the building pulls in 2 directions simultaneously. Half the crowd has already decided this is theater, a promotional arrangement that will conclude with Ali laughing and Bruce quietly embarrassed. The other half believes they are standing on the edge of something that will permanently change the way the world understands what fighting actually is. Bruce enters the arena without a robe, without music, without an entourage surrounding him. Just Bruce moving through the crowd in simple black trousers and a black tank top, fluid and quiet, and carrying that particular quality of alertness that belongs to a very specific kind of person. Not tense, not coiled in anticipation of impact, but present in a way that leaves no interior room for anything that is not the immediate moment. He steps through the ropes and stands in the ring. The size difference lands on the crowd before any words do. Ali outweighs him 70 pounds.